So as most of you know, there was an interesting Nintendo Direct a couple of weeks ago. In my opinion, not one of the strongest we've had, but still alright, with the amazing looking 3D Kirby and the fantastic naming of the Octonauts Traveler sequel. But one part of this Direct has kind of overshadowed those announcements and other announcements as well, and that is the Mario movie casting. The casting has triggered a lot of debate and controversy, but I don't really want to talk about that now or ever. I actually want to talk about the new additions to the Switch Online service, specifically what it means for the service, and I want to state my opinions on the thing as a whole. So it is easy to say that the service has not lived up to its potential at all, with Nintendo only releasing NES and Super NES titles to it. I mean, it replaced the Virtual Console, a system that didn't come without its flaws but was still very highly regarded and loved, so it did have some relatively big shoes to fill. Now, when the service came out, I thought that it was a very good idea, but I did have my concerns about it. The main concern was whether Nintendo was going to update it, as well as keep a stable online service, which we will get to later. It turns out that my concerns were justified though, as the answer was most definitely a no, and I think almost every Nintendo fan can agree with me. They fed us games so slowly and took so long to release all the Donkey Kong Country games, the games that I and a lot of others wanted to see the most. They didn't even give us Super Mario All-Stars until Mario's 35th anniversary, a game that could have been added way earlier but was held on to so they could add filler into the Mario Direct. They haven't even given us Earthbound or Super Mario RPG, two fantastic genre-defining games, and they haven't even added Turtles in Time. Look, I could honestly go on and talk about tons of games they haven't added, but it'll take too much time and I already have a lot of things that I want to talk about. The Nintendo Direct showed that N64 games will be coming to Switch Online, but in an expansion pack that costs extra money, but we don't know how much yet. No, I thought that they would make us pay extra for their bigger 3D games like N64 and GameCube, but that was over 2 years ago when the service came out, and the more time passed, the more I thought that it wouldn't make much sense to make the consumers pay more. The main reason why people are so angry is because the release date is so late after all. Well, Nintendo did what they should have done over 2 years ago, and now we have to pay for an expansion pass to play N64 games, and we don't even know how much it costs. For some reason, they didn't choose to show us the price in the Direct, and I have no clue why. Maybe they haven't decided if they'll add GameCube later down the line, or maybe they're just not sure how to price it. But if it costs over $10, I will be very disappointed. Of course I'll still buy it, but I'll be mad and Twitter will blow up, as is the way with every Nintendo customer. We get angry and yet we still buy their products. I'm pissed that the Switch OLED doesn't hold a solid 60 FPS and only got a new screen dock and small design changes, as well as only costing Nintendo $5 extra to make, and is still $540, and yet I and many others will be or have bought it. It's just the way we work, and it's why Nintendo thinks, or more knows, that they can price things so high. Now, before we talk about that lineup of games and some other features that confuse me even more, I have to talk about the controller. So they made a wireless N64 controller, which was a given. It's cool that they do this and everything, but I'm a bit sad about this price. $50. Ouch. It's even more here in Australia. I'm sorry Nintendo, but I really don't think that a near 30-year-old controller deserves to be $50. A controller that I do like, but has some questionable design choices, a very poor quality and an ouchy joystick, as well as some other smaller flaws. Now this hasn't released yet, as well as the new online pack itself, so it is yet to be proved that the controller is in fact the same, but looking at this footage I can see that the joystick looks the same. They didn't bother to upgrade it a bit. Of course I would love to be wrong, but I really don't think I am about this. It just looks the same. I actually do really like the N64 controller though. When you hold it on its two outer handles it feels fantastic, so I'll probably end up buying it. And before you think that I buy all of Nintendo's products, I haven't even bought the GameCube, NES or SNES controller. I really do think that Nintendo is actually losing money by pricing it so high. If it was half the price then I would buy multiple, and other people that want to buy multiple but aren't going to at the moment would as well. And the users that can't be bothered to pay this much for, again, a 30-year-old controller might actually buy it, or at least consider it. So now we just have to wait and find out how expensive the service itself is, and I have a really bad feeling about it. Now for the game lineup. This is awesome. Some of the best games on the Nintendo 64 are on it straight away, and they'll even add more as time goes on. But that's just it. These games that are going to be added should have been there from the get-go. And how long will Nintendo take to release the games? They're still adding games to SNES now, or at least have stopped just a month ago, so who knows how long it will take. Also, are these the only games being added? Because this is absolutely nothing. 16 games. Admittedly the best 16 on the console, or thereabout. Once all the games have been added, that's pretty pathetic. I'll not be surprised if the last two games that are released will be Paper Mario and Majora's Mask, so that we don't forget about the service towards the end. On the topic of Paper Mario, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that the OG Mario story will be getting added to the service. I and a lot of other Paper Mario fans had thought, or at least speculated, that Nintendo wanted to forget the old Paper Mario games and focus on the newer games. Now don't get me wrong, I enjoy the newer games, and spoiler alert for a possible upcoming video, Origami King is my favourite Paper Mario and probably my favourite game of 2020. No, definitely my favourite game of 2020. But that means if we get GameCube Online, then we will most likely get the Thousand Year Door, and the toxic vocal minority dubbed Thousand Year Door fans can shut up and finally play their game. We also got access to a bad online service and other small features like cloud saves. I think that everyone knows about the crappy internet and how slow it is, but there have been some people that don't actually believe that it is that bad. If that is so, then I'll gladly show you some Super Mario Maker 2 Online. These are some experiences that people have had, and it isn't even a rarity. If you choose to play Mario Maker 2 Online, you expect this. The fact that back when this service first came out, Reggie told us that some games would be getting designated servers, but Splatoon 2 would not be included, so many people got a bit confused. Over 3 years later, and we still haven't gotten those designated servers. Everything is still peer-to-peer. Now I think that there is absolutely no chance that we get a better internet for paying more, and I'll probably rather not, because the amount of outrage and disappointment would actually be insane. If they do this, then it is evident that they do have a better online service that they have been hiding away for years, and that their consumers that they already take advantage of enough have been screaming out to get, and it is also just a really stingy move from them, and will not be the Nintendo that I and many others know and love. They can't give people more chances and reasons to start riots, as they have already done some questionable things this past year, but have seemed to recover mostly and stop doing these things. So it will break my heart to see them return to being a better version of EA or Activision. Speaking of Nintendo partaking in stingy practices, let's talk about the Super Mario 3D All-Stars and why I now understand why it was available for a limited time. Being able to buy two different versions of Super Mario 64 is dumb, and the people who purchased the collection would feel dumb and a bit cheated on that a significant part of their game is now available to buy along with extra games on an online service. The fact that you now can't actually get this collection means that the 9 million people who bought it now feel like they have a special thing that you can't really get anymore. The people that bought the collection also have access to the shittiest and the best 3D Mario games that Nintendo makes, that's a bonus. Now I have covered the Nintendo 64 section of this new expansion, but I haven't even once mentioned this other system that you have access to. Yeah, for some weird reason you can now play Sega Genesis games if you buy the pack. Now I'll probably not play any or most of these games, so that doesn't bother me too much, but it is certainly nice and adds meaning to the title of this video. But nothing can be perfect, especially with Nintendo, so here is another quicker rant about controllers. You have to pay $100 American to get both of these controllers. That is a lot of money if you haven't realized. So of course I'm not going to get the Genesis controller or control pad, stupid name. This channel is actually focused on Nintendo though, if you couldn't tell from our name, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about the Sega bundle, though I guess it is part of the Nintendo Switch paid service. But anyway, all I want to say is that the game lineup is actually pretty cool, and I'm glad that Sony are doing what Nintendo don't and are actually collaborating with other companies, ironically with Nintendo. I would have rather have GameCube games instead of this though. So what about these rumours? The rumours about Game Boy Online? Well, in my uneducated opinion, I think that they are coming, and for the base online bundle. I think that the reason that they didn't show it in the Direct is because it is coming later down the line and would confuse the people watching the Direct. I just don't see Game Boy Online being deserving of extra money, unless it includes Game Boy Advance, in which case it will still be better on the base pack, but I could definitely see Nintendo chucking it into the expansion. I also see GameCube coming to online, and it will be with the expansion. You hopefully won't have to pay extra for the GameCube, but it still is possible. I don't think they will add anything else though, although I would love to be wrong and see them add Wii, or much likely a 3DS. Well, those were my opinions about the new update to Switch Online. What will Nintendo do with it? Will they add GameCube games along with Game Boy, 3DS and even Wii? Or will they announce that this pack costs an extra $30 and never update it again? Or maybe something in the middle, like what I think. If there is someone out there watching, let me know in the comments and have a great day. Because the Nintendo was dropped this right after I finished recording and have started editing, and this is actually insane. Now my thinking was that it would be maybe $10 extra. This online service has gone from $20 to $50. This is actually a bit incredible. So this is what we got. Nintendo 64 games, Sega games, and an Animal Crossing DLC bundle. I'm guessing that this Animal Crossing DLC is the reason it is so expensive. This is an absolutely baffling decision to me. I'm confused and kind of disappointed. I didn't even buy Animal Crossing, and I have no intentions to, so it is just a waste of money. As I stated earlier, Nintendo have looked to be getting back on track after some questionable decisions in 2020 and early 2021, and although one mistake doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, it is still really disappointing to see. Oh well, not every company can be perfect, especially in Nintendo. Let's just hope that they see this like-dislike ratio and that it isn't a reoccurring thing. Also, there's been two major things that have bothered me more than anything I have said in this video, and that is the fact that Superman 64 wasn't highlighted as a game that would come out, and the So Long Gay Bowser version of Super Mario 64 will most likely not be the version that releases. Anyway, bye.